The opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers or Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Health Matters. We are exploring traditional Chinese medicine. Up next is pulse diagnosis with registered acupuncturist Inga Spatari and her model, Maria Kravchenko. All right, ladies, pulse diagnosis. Let's just start with here in the West. The way we take our pulse traditionally is using these two fingers and placing them on the radial artery. Typically, 60 to 100 beats per minute is in the normal range. Anything above or below that could pose a problem. In Eastern medicine, it's very, very different.
Absolutely.
It's very complex,
yes.
And it's an art. Mm-hmm. So show viewers at home, I guess, how to place our fingers and really what information we're getting from doing that.
Mm-hmm. In Chinese medicine, we also use a radial artery, and we place our middle finger on a radial bone just next to the styloid process, and then the index finger and ring finger next to them, this way, like that. So we take the pulse first superficially, looking for the state of the qi, then palpate, find it deeper, looking for the state of the blood, and then even checking it deeper, the root of the pulse.
So we have 3 levels that you're checking.
Yes.
Okay. So three fingers, 3 levels. The first level is the level of qi, the level of our energy.
Yes.
The second level is the level of blood.
Of blood.
And the third level is yin.
Root.
The root.
The
what does that
root.
mean? Just generally.
Generally, talking that the pulse has root, that means that the pulse has a very good qi, has a very good source of energy coming.
Okay. So you're using her right arm.
Right arm.
And we have both yin and yang organs. Mm-hmm. So did you explain that yet?
No.
Okay.
So from the right hand, we check the functional state of the yang organs. Under my first finger, here is lung. I'm checking the lung, and then there will be spleen and stomach, and then kidney and urinary bladder. So we take the pulse, all 3 at the same time, and then we check them one by one, like lung, spleen, stomach, kidney, urinary bladder. Mm-hmm. And on the left hand,
but the other organs, like if you're pressing more distally,
mm-hmm.
distal,
I understand what you mean.
As opposed
exactly.
to proximal,
yes,
you're going to get a different organ.
Exactly. If we press distally, like in lung position, the distally is lung and proximally is large intestine. For the middle finger, proximally there is stomach, mm-hmm. and distally is spleen, and exactly the same the third position. Proximally is urinary bladder, and distally kidney, mm-hmm. Uterus, that gentleman prostate, and even knees. Like if the pulse would be slippery here, we could think that there might be an arthritis.
Sure. So there's 6 organs that you're checking.
Yeah, pretty much 6
hand.
organs, even.
And what
more.
about on our left wrist?
On the left wrist, pretty much the same. Like mm-hmm. naming the major organs would be heart, liver, kidney. So together with heart, here we are checking the small intestine that goes proximally, and the heart goes distally. Gallbladder is distally, and liver proximally, and kidney and urinary bladder, they are both here, exactly the same, proximally, urinary bladder, and distally the kidney.
Okay. So what are you feeling from Maria? I know, like, you're under pressure right now.
Well, I just need some to concentrate on it. Maria's pulse is wiry. Probably she's also under the pressure. Because wiry pulse, could be a sign of stress.
Maria, you're not stressed, are you?
So there's all kinds of conditions you're looking for?
When we are taking pulse, we are looking actually for 28
different types of pulses.
28 different types of pulses. Okay. Of course, luckily, not all of them are present. Like most mm-hmm. often, there is wiry pulse, slippery pulse, thready pulse, rapid pulse,
okay.
Floating pulse.
So what does a wiry pulse feel like?
wiry pulse feels exactly like a string under your fingers.
Like guitar strings?
Yes,
Okay.
and you feel a string. And it's interesting pulse. It can speak about quite a few things. As you already heard, it can speak about stress, it can speak about pain, it can speak about liver chi stagnation, and it can speak about internal wind or even external wind. That's why it's important to make the diagnosis together with inquiring the patient and checking the tongue.
So if you're feeling wiry in the liver position,
Right.
then in the third position here, then that'll tell you what? That there's stagnation in the liver?
A liver chi stagnation.
And that could be due to, because in Chinese medicine the liver is related to anger. Could that be
right.
the culprit? One of them.
There is obviously a connection. It could be anger, it could be just stress, it could be just emotion, and as I said, it could be liver chi stagnation.
Could it be during a woman's time of the month
Yes, it could.
that you would feel that?
Yes.
Okay. What about a slippery pulse?
Slippery pulse, it's another interesting kind of pulse that is pretty often. It feels like pearls beads under the fingers. That's how it comes and slips and runs away. And it can speak again about quite a few things. It can speak about phlegm, dampness.
Did you feel that in Maria?
Maybe let me check the right hand because the left one was wiry. Slippery, yes, spleen, stomach,
Yes,
slippery.
I already know that.
Yes, slippery pulse is more characteristic for the right hand for spleen and stomach because spleen is the one in charge of creating dampness and phlegm.
So what does that mean? Like, how do you translate that to a patient? Well, you have a slippery pulse
I
and
can
your
tell
stomach
maybe how it
spleen.
manifests in me because I
Sure,
know
that'd
I
be
have
great.
a slippery
Go on.
pulse.
Yeah.
So there is like maybe a lump in the throat, like a feeling of, or you have like expectoration of phlegm, for example, or a feeling of heaviness.
That's exactly the typical case of dampness. I would explain to patients that this is the pathogenical factor that shouldn't be in your body, and it's created by the wrong function of some energetical organs.
If a patient sees you at 9 a.m. and then sees you at 6 p.m., is their pulse going to change?
There is a possibility that it will change. Juan Di Nadine, Yellow Emperor's Canon, says that ideally pulse should be taken in the morning when the patient just woke up and didn't even stand up of the bed. That's ideal. So if in the morning there was one state of the pulse going through a stressy working day, by the evening pulse quality could be changing.
What's more reliable, the tongue or the pulse?
The tongue.
Why?
Because pulse is changing too fast. Let's say a patient on the way to you pick up the phone and had extremely good news. His pulse would immediately change. That's why we ask patients first to sit down and calm. And then we
So
take
is the
pulse.
tongue more indicative of chronic conditions?
Yes.
And the pulse is more immediate conditions?
Exactly, yeah, you can say like that. Like colds, bad colds, I would read them from the pulse because the pulse would become floating. Immediately doctor has a feeling like a fish under the fingers. And while it doesn't show on the tongue, at least first couple of days.
Can you tell if a person's pregnant or if they're going to have a boy or a girl?
Yes. Well, now we have ultrasonography.
But back in the day,
but
back in the day, 5,000 years ago, there was no X-ray machine. So this was their way, the ancients' way of checking our internal organs, right?
That's what they did. They took the pulse.
They were very in touch with their bodies and with
yes.
nature.
Yes, so if the pulse was slippery and there is particular quality of that sleepiness, it's more slippery than just dampness, then they would suppose that the lady is pregnant, and since the left hand is in charge of yin and the right hand is in charge of yang, where pulse is stronger, that was the expected gender of the baby. So if the pulse was strong on the right hand, they would say that she's expecting a baby boy. And if it was strong on the left hand, they would say that she's expecting a baby girl.
Yes, interesting. Okay, here's a question for you. Holiday times, Christmas time, let's say people are partying, eating a lot of rich food, drinking a lot of alcohol. What would their tongue and pulse look like?
Catastrophic. The pulse would immediately show that slippery qualities that would speak about too much rich food, too much cold food, maybe even indigestion if overeating. And the same pulse could be wiry because of abuse of alcohol, overabuses the liver, and right away liver is responding by a wiry pulse. And on the tongue could appear as a picture of patches without a coating. That says that the stomach energy has been hard at the degree that stomach can recover.
Well, thank you very much, Inga, for explaining tongue and pulse. Maria, you're going to stick around for hand diagnosis.
Yes.
Up next, hand diagnosis. Stay around. An Australian systematic review has found support for the use of acupuncture as a means to enhance exercise performance in post-exercise recovery. Journal of Chinese Medicine.